Or I think most people were trying to go to the other spot.
Oh, yeah. So that's right. Then if we go to
Very interesting experience. Can you hear us okay right now? You can fill up your fridge. I can buy a water, need some water. You can fill it up.
It's from the USU thing, you know.
All the
USU water.
Not your job, actually.
Oh, yeah, this gives me pronouns. Right.
I can't hear anybody.
There's another thing, the land use code needs to be fixed too. That's part of the building code, that they wanted to fix. Is to put setbacks for garages to be 3 feet or accessory uses on the hills. And they took it out. Now it's back to 2 feet. What did I do? But, that was probably, because all you have to do is have that 3 feet setback and you actually got in the sheds and you put it back in. I know that's better. It's 10 feet, so you really good way to do it. That 3 feet specifically for drainage and stuff. So when it sort of drains off to shed accessories. And it had nothing to do with ADU, they used to have some stuff. Requirements. And I don't know. But we like you. Even my stuff away, but we have to.
Yeah, wait.
I wanted to know why I voted on certain.
She always does.
I know. It's like,
No, it's like 30.
Right.
She also does, we'd be a little conversation, not about your particular vote. In fact, you don't really expect people that support, don't always.
I guess I can't hear anybody.
Randy, can you hear us?
We can.
No, it's I've got it turned up. I'm gonna turn this thing off.
Where are you at, Randy?
Visual.
It's 5:30, so we'll probably need to order.
Yeah, barely.
Can you tell them you can't hear them?
We can hear you.
Hello?
That you can't hear them.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I can't hear you.
Test.
No,
I tested
you
it.
can barely hear them.
I can just barely hear you. It's like you're way, way off.
Way far away. Like the mic,
Sorry.
like the microphone needs to be closer.
That's as loud as it will go. Is your speaker up all the way?
I don't know why it's not working.
Is your speaker up all the way, Randy?
I can barely hear you. I don't know why. It was working a minute ago. I could hear everybody real clear, and all of a sudden it quit.
Can we?
Well, that's electronics for me.
Well, make sure there's a function to raise your hand if you have things to say. Yes.
Dang it. Sorry, guys.
All right, well,
I can call
okay,
there you go.
that's a solution.
We're gonna try to call you and put you on speakerphone.
might need to mute Randy. Well, I guess we can, yeah.
Yeah, we could meet them too. Yeah. Let's see something.
Okay.
Professional Zoomers.
I've worked once in my whole life.
It's his hospital. He probably done. Are you in your hospital, Randy? That's something. Don't worry about a response.
Here. But at one time,
Colin?
Yeah.
Number here. Okay, his number. Okay.
I've got the secret.
When it goes to the hospital.
No, the one that, if you have a plumbing emergency.
What do you have for that number?
Okay, let me think. 260-1388.
What was the 445
435
260
1388.
Hey Randy, this is Andrew. We're just going to put you on speakerphone so you can hear the discussion. All right. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Alrighty, we'll start again. And we'll open up the meeting at 5:34. And the agenda says introduction of members. We all know Randy. And Sarah Finley is not here. She's got a family function she's doing with. You can see us all love each other. What do you want to do?
I'm Aaron Limerick.
Hi.
The room that.
Yeah. I'm Erin Hopkins. This is Obi. Brian.
Jerry
Jerry.
Lights.
Maybe paper.
Look at the sit at the table. Sam.
Can you introduce yourself?
Neil Herbert, interested citizen.
Oh,
Hi,
sorry, Lisa, I'm Sarah. Yeah. I'm Trixie.
Andrew Jackson staff.
Yeah, we need to elect a new chair and a new vice chair. And I,
The bylaws say it's supposed to be the last item of the meeting, but I've got it up to the beginning because we might as well get it all done and you would chair the meeting anyway if it was.
oh, it's fine. I think we can do the election right now. And I would like to nominate Jerry.
Second.
Do we have any other nominations?
That's the chair.
He's like,
Never gave me a look at red.
do we have another nomination? Then let's vote. I'll vote for nomination, which is Jerry Claus, chair.
Can't find the alternates.
Evan?
Yeah.
Now we have a nomination for the vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Mary Hopline for vice chair. I'd second that.
Yeah, what's that chair, vice chair?
I would have nominated you, but I thought you'd have shot me. She might have. I was going to nominate Megan. Just so you wouldn't get nominated.
Okay, you can take over as chair.
Okay, well, thank you. Do we have a vote on
Yeah,
that?
I think there was-
Vote on.
Oh, we did vote on vice chair, I thought we did, sorry.
Yeah, and I think probably maybe Jerry's the chair, so you can
Okay.
have those nominations vote. or
So
whatever.
Are there any other nominations for vice chair? Megan, did you? I would if you're interested.
I'm
very
totally interested.
Oh, all right, well, I'll nominate Megan Schaefer. So now we have 2 nominees.
Need a second for me.
We have a second for Megan.
Yes, I'll second Megan.
All right, well, we're gonna have to battle it out. So we'll start with Mary. All of those in favor of Mary for vice chair?
Yeah.
Those in favor of Megan?
Aye.
Megan's vice chair.
Yay. I missed that. Oh,
So, okay, so.
I think there were 4.
Aaron, Jerry, Megan, and
Rand.
Randy in the affirmative for Megan.
Sorry.
Maybe that's one extension. Yeah, so Aaron, Jerry, Megan, and Megan.
So next on the agenda is ex parte communications and disclosures. Do we have any? I would think we're really not doing any business other than training, so we're just surprising that we have this.
Yeah, unless somebody has came from another project or whatever, so it's. I looked that up and a little bit of this will be in the training, but that means from one side only, it's parte. So if you get just from one side.
What do you mean by that?
That means like, if you're in the public meeting and you can have that debate,
Oh,
but if you have like somebody that goes over in the store and says, hey, you know, I know my lot doesn't meet their permits for duplex, but my mother-in-law's gonna give me the house, that's the only way we can get money to fund it. And that's not brought up at a meeting, so then you would have different information than others, just from that one side. So you would have to say, hey, how is the nurse?
We'll cover some of that in the training.
I didn't know. I didn't know what you were talking about.
Okay. Approval of the meeting minutes from December 15th.
I'm going to approve. Second.
Okay. Any comments, corrections?
We are. Be less of editorializing in the minutes and more discussion. Maybe background motions. We made motion second, the vote, but then also referring to the time stamp on the video. So that people can go and they can just kind of watch it on their own and not just look at the, oh, this is one person's view of what happened in the meeting.
Okay, so seeing no other comments, we'll have a vote to approve. All in favor? We have 5-4 and 1 abstention, I guess. Is Randy?
Oh.
Randy, did you vote or abstain?
We can't hear you because he's still on.
You still here? So I'm Andy.
But you didn't mute his phone, but for a while he was giving some background, so I wonder if he muted his phone.
I'm sorry, now you guys can hear me again, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
can hear
hear
you.
hearing you.
Okay,
But I can hear Andrew real well, he's right in front of the phone.
good.
I think Aaron, he's kind of off there in the back, he's talking hard, so what are we voting on again?
The minutes,
Oh, I'll vote to approve minutes. I
Okay.
read them, it's fine.
He
perfect.
wasn't there.
Under discussion items, the annual board member training. We have 2 parts of that, right? One is open meetings and the other is introduction to planning and team.
Yep.
That would be interrupted with the citizens to be heard. And since we're meeting at 5:30 now, that would be at 7 or at the end of the
At
meeting?
6. We did 6.
At 6, okay. So we have 18 minutes. Before citizens will be heard. Yeah. All right, so on the annual board member training, Andrew.
And Lisa, are you told that?
I didn't get a link for it.
Oh, okay. So it should be an agenda?
Online?
Yes. Sorry.
Just on the Grand County?
Yeah, Grand County meeting, and just go to tonight's meeting and then we'll have it. And if you go down. So just on the board training,
Item number one.
just up. There you go, yeah. And that should click, and it should have the YouTube video.
It's here.
Yep.
Maybe just share my screen. Do we have to sign in for this? I apologize. I'm not
Yeah,
familiar.
no problem. Yeah, I guess it should have picked up off mine, so.
We don't.
You normally do, training,
We have to.
as part of the board, a lot of the other boards, we do it kind of separately. That's why I'm saying that. Yeah.
We haven't done it like this in the past.
Oh,
but
it's
yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, usually.
I usually do.
You do know that, yeah,
Okay.
you probably run into this for some of the boards, so like, literally like the mosquito abatement, it was like in December, they're like, we still don't have some OPMA certificates, like, okay.
Well,
these
one of the
guys
things
down.
I'm probably still happy to do. Right, you gotta have a certificate to send off for all the others.
Oh, right, I know,
It's the state law that ensures government actions and deliberations are open to conducted.
Yeah.
Before we continue, keep in mind that this video is an overview and exceptions may exist based on.
So this is not really,
We
so,
focus on local government.
sorry, it's.
When in doubt, read the law, consult with your legal counsel. So what's considered an open and public?
I was thinking of
It's when a public body quorum, also known as a simple majority, meets to discuss or act upon government business. It includes the meetings sometimes referred to as workshops or executive sessions. Regular meetings, public hearings, electronic meetings, and emergency meetings are all open and public meetings. Open and public meetings don't include chance or social meetings. A public hearing is a type of open and public meeting where citizens have a reasonable opportunity to speak. Public hearings happen when a government adopts a budget, imposes or increases taxes or fees, or transfers money from an enterprise fund. These meetings have extra notice and posting requirements and won't be addressed in this video. An electronic meeting is a type of open and public meeting that's convened electronically, such as via phone or the internet. Remember, the governing body must adopt a resolution, rule, or ordinance allowing and governing electronic meetings. OPMA adds additional requirements too. An emergency meeting may be held to discuss an urgent matter due to unforeseen circumstances. In order to hold the meeting, the best notice that's feasible is provided of the time, location, and topics to be considered. An attempt is made to contact all governing body members, and the governing body majority approves the meeting. An open and public meeting may be closed to discuss any of the following: a person's character, competence, or health, collective bargaining, litigation, certain real property transactions, including any form of a water right or water shares with specific restrictions, security personnel, devices, or systems deployment, investigations of criminal misconduct, and private or protected information for the Utah Procurement Code, including trade secrets. A closed meeting may be held only if a quorum is present and the meeting was properly noticed. 2/3 of the governing body present at the meeting need to vote yes to close a meeting. Quick math lesson. 2 divided by 3 equals 66.7%. Let's say your governing body has 5 members present at the meeting. If 3 out of 5 members vote yes, that equals 60%, which is not equal or greater than 66.7%, which means you're 1 member short and would need 4 out of 5 members to vote yes. During a closed meeting, a governing body can't interview someone applying to fill an elected position, discuss filling a midterm vacancy or temporary absence, discuss the character, competence, or health of a person whose name was submitted for consideration to fill a midterm vacancy or temporary absence, approve any ordinance, resolution, rule, regulation, contract, or appointment, or take a vote, unless it's a vote on a motion to end the closed portion of the meeting and return to an open meeting. When a governing body closes a meeting, the following must be publicly announced and entered into the minutes of the open meeting at which the closed meeting was approved. The reason or reasons for holding the closed meeting, the location where the closed meeting will be held, and the vote of each member of the governing body either for or against the motion to close the meeting. If a closed meeting is discussing a person's character, competence, or health, or security personnel, devices, or systems deployment, or several other exceptions, mostly related to state bodies or project entities, no recording or minutes are required. However, the presiding member needs to sign a sworn written statement stating such. If the closed meeting is held for any other reason, a recording must be made, which includes date, time, and place of the meeting, names of members present and absent, and names of all others, except where disclosure would infringe on the confidentiality necessary to fulfill the original purpose of closing the meeting. Regular open and public meetings require 24 hours notice. The public notice includes the meeting agenda, date, time, and place. Public meeting agendas need to include reasonably specified topics to be considered, with each topic listed under a separate agenda item on the meeting agenda. The governing body may not consider a topic in an open meeting that wasn't on the agenda. If a new topic not on the agenda is raised by the public during an open meeting, the governing body may discuss the topic. However, final action may not be taken on the new topic during that meeting. Additionally, entities holding regular meetings scheduled in advance over the course of the year need to provide annual notice of the entire year's meeting schedule. The notice must include date, time, and place for each meeting.
Notice is posted on the public body's website in a public location, such as the location where the meeting will be held, and on Utah's public notice website in accordance with Utah Code 63G-30-102.
Typically, posting on the public notice website is done by the records officer, recorder, or clerk. However, it's the governing body's responsibility to ensure notice is provided. State Archives has prepared a training manual and quick guide for owners and posters, as well as training videos that can be accessed at their website, archives.utah.gov. Written minutes and a recording are kept of all open meetings, with few exceptions. Written minutes include the date, time, and place of the meeting, the names of members present and absent, the substance of all matters, names of citizens providing comments, the substance of the comments provided, any information a body member requests be entered into the minutes or recording, and a record by individual member of each vote taken. A body with elected members must record each vote in list format by category for each action taken by a member, including yes votes, no votes, and absent members next to each member's name. A recording must be a complete and unedited record of all open portions of the meeting from beginning to end, and be labeled with the meeting date, time, and place. All or any part of an open meeting may be independently recorded by any person in attendance if the recording does not interfere with the conduct of the meeting. Pending minutes means written minutes of an open meeting in draft form subject to change before being approved by the public body of the open meeting. Pending minutes must contain a clear indication, such as a draft or pending watermark, that the governing body hasn't yet approved the minutes and that the minutes are subject to change until the public body approves them. Approved minutes means written minutes of an open meeting approved by the public body that held the open meeting. Entities must establish and implement procedures for the public body's approval of written minutes. Public meeting pending minutes, approved minutes, and recordings for public records underground. Any individual who publicly presents information relating to an item on the public body's meeting agenda must provide a copy of the information for inclusion in the public record. Make pending minutes available to the public within 30 days. Within 3 business days after approving written minutes of an open meeting, make approved minutes and any public materials available at the Utah Public Notice website, the entity's primary office, and the entity's website. Within 3 business days after holding an open meeting, make an audio recording of the open meeting available for public for listening.
So that's the required, or one of the required, one of many videos of the required training. This was from the auditor's office. I checked with the attorney's office and they said this would meet the county's requirements. And there's 1 of 2 ways to certify this. One is we can certify everybody that was here at the meeting and have that in the minutes of the meeting and send that to the auditor. Or you can also go onto the auditor's website, put in, you have to create an account if you don't already have one, put that in. You can skip through the video and then there's a 5-question quiz. And then you're able to get a certificate, so you can email me a copy of the certificate. We can keep that in there as well. Like that. So you got either way. You can go do the quiz and that, or you can just send me or you can just do this in the In addition to that, there was this letter that was written in November 10th, 2025 by Stephen Stocks, and it was passed out at the planning commission meeting. It was talked about briefly by the commissioner chair. There's a couple of things though that they wanted us to be sure we had put this. So on the back, it's just a 2-page document. Number 2 is the analysis. Transparency laws, often referred to as sunshine laws, are the cornerstone of open government. The goal of Open Public Meetings Act is simple. The work of the public should be conducted in the sunshine. Side channel communication between commissioners or other meeting members during an open meeting undermines the very purpose of Utah's Open and Public Meetings Act. And then the next paragraph down. Electronic communications among members is permissible only when the body is not convened. So if we're not here, planning commission meeting, you can have that. If we're at the planning commission meeting, then you can't be texting each other or texting others, because again, it has to be, decisions have to be based on what is brought forward at the meeting. And it's different, a little different with legislative versus administrative positions that you have.
There's statistics over it, do they?
What's that?
Oh, I was just saying that, I sent that in to you already.
Yeah, I got your certificate.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
Compounding the concern, any written or electronic messaging related to an agenda item qualifies as a government record. Under GRAMA, deleting or discarding such communication risks improper destruction and potential due process issues, particularly in quasi-judicial settings. And then it just states in 3 items here, if it matters to the vote or discussion, say it out loud at the meeting. If a written communication arrives during the meeting, summarize it out loud and provide it to the clerk. If personal devices distract the public record, step out or wait. Treat quasi-judicial matters with extra care, disclose inadvertent ex parte contact. Lastly, the meeting may be best served if phones are left undisturbed in the meeting. What I'm going to do, unfortunately, on this thing with the electronic communication right now, but what I'm going to do is this is my county phone, and I'll actually have Lisa have my phone. So if somebody says we can't hear you, or we lost YouTube or whatever, she can just get it. She's not going to be involved in discussions about items. So some people have that. It's just those kind of a few those housekeeping things where the speaker's not working or whatever. However, if you are getting text during the meeting, hey, this is what this should be, or you should do it this way, or whatever, that should be part of the record. And even if it's on your personal device, it becomes part of the record in this grammable, which is why many of us have our own phone and then our county phone. So what's on the county phone is grammable, and then I don't make comments to people about, oh, this or whatever. So that was from Stephen. If you have questions, you can follow up with additional training from him. One thing also of note with that is that when we're over in the other room, we have this owl. So it goes around, and if you make a motion or say something or breathe too loud, it's going to flip around to you. So if you've ever had a chance to review the recordings of a meeting to see what happened, you'll notice that some people will roll their eyes, and that's picked up on the recording, right? Or may have, other things. Those will also show up on the recording. So we just want to make sure that we keep the quorum, and we're not rolling eyes or making suggestions about something during the meeting unless it's open to everybody and we're talking about that. With this as well, we're also supposed to annually review the bylaws of the planning commission, and the last time it was updated, my knowledge, is 2019, and there's a few things that are in there, of course, changing the county council to county commission, but then it also has a portion on page 5. So I have a 5.12 conduct during the public meeting, and I found out that I need to post at the bottom of the agenda this information about how we handle public discussions, and there's not going to be arguments amongst people that show up, the general public or whatever. All the questions go to the chair, and the chair can determine from there how to handle those things. So that's all going to be on the agendas, and we'll have extra copies of those at the back of the meeting. Some places have like a sign-in sheet for people who want to make public comments. So they sign in, and then they call them in order. If that's something you want to do, you can do that. And then
During the hearing, you do that.
okay, perfect.
Otherwise, I'm not so sure it's that valuable. They come in and they're recorded saying who they are.
Okay, perfect.
Any disagreement?
When we do a public hearing, so we can get people in order, not skip anyone or something. Perfect.
Andrew, what have we got now? I was just going to mention one other thing about the bylaws is we really don't cover the electronic communications that Stephen just brought in the bylaws. So would you want to take a shot at making an amendment to these regarding?
Yes, because we also have on page 5, on the bottom of page 5, B.16 or 5.16. It doesn't allow for voting. So if the commissioner is remote, it doesn't allow them to vote. So I want to make that change because our technology since COVID is a little bit better. If a commissioner feels like they haven't been really engaged in the meeting itself, they may wish to abstain and just be listening to it or something like that. But
Also, reflects you back to members.
Couple of things, Andrew, if I might, that means my vote counts tonight because I'm not there, but I am. Kind of interesting. I read that and I was questioning that. I think that's a really good change on 5.16, commissioner participation by real-time telecommunication. I think that's a good change. And also, if we're going to have sign-in sheets, is it possible, because of the proximity of some rezones or different criteria that may go to the planning commission, If we have not just the name, but the address of the individual, so that we know how affected they may be by something that we're planning.
I'll check with the attorney on the address portion. I'll check with the attorney. I mean, typically, people get up and say the name and address, but I'll check and see if we can require that or not.
And Andrew, I had,
Great.
one other one, and I thought this had been taken care of last year where we had a situation where we interviewed candidates for the commission and we didn't report their names. And Stephen said the names of the people who voted for particular people should be there. So this is 4-3 voting. And it still reads in this very funny way, the chair can ask for written ballots for voting purposes. And then it says, planning staff will tally the number of votes for each candidate and read this information back to the commission. The planning commission by motion will forward this to the county council. But I think Stephen was telling us we had to say who voted for who. Is that? That's correct.
Well, I know that it could be by private or
Right.
yeah,
Can't be secret.
secret ballot.
Yes.
But we did when we went around, and we can look at that with the minutes, but each person said, I vote for this person, and that
Yes,
person. And then we
exactly.
went with it. So we did that, but maybe it wasn't carried over to Stephen, but as long as it's not secret ballot.
No, this is just, we're talking about our bylaws.
Right.
And it might be clearer if it said something about this gets forwarded to the county commission who voted for which people. So, and I think that would, you might check with Stephen, but I think that's exactly what he was trying to tell. Not to say this isn't in the minutes this time.
Oh, yeah, no.
When I was chair, we did a secret ballot and we recorded the number of votes and they went forward and Stephen said, I think justifiably so, that's not the right procedure. And I said, it's what our thing says. And he said, it's not the right procedure. Yeah.
And so, and he said that as well.
Yeah. So we should just change it.
Any discussion in the vote law had to be in public.
Yeah.
Okay.
So really what you're saying is the vote of each commission member needs to be recorded. Yeah.
Which, and again, we didn't just turn the ballots, but it was actually each person went around and said who they were voting for. And so there's some changes that need to happen to the bylaws to ensure that we're also.
Can we just have a discussion about that for a minute? So I think there's a number of things that need to be changed there. What would you all think about putting that on the agenda for the next meeting and come in with your revised changes and making this public? Everybody okay with that?
That sounds great. That's some changes. Just clarification also.
So Andrew, if you could put that on the agenda for next week, and I think everybody has a copy of this, right?
I sent it out to everybody, but I'll send it out again with the agenda.
Okay. It is 6:06. Citizens to be heard, John. Do we have any citizens here? No comment?
I'm just, a citizen to listen.
Make sure we stay alive. Okay, sounds good. All right, well, let's continue then. And Andrew, did you have anything else on that? Or
No.
annual board member training?
No, not for that part, it just, but then the next agenda item, which is,
Intro to planning and zoning.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, you can carry on.
And part of this is gonna be as well as, Sarah isn't here, but she'll have access to the YouTube, she had some family things. Did you have a question?
Yeah, so we still have to give a certificate of the training.
No,
No, we're covered.
so this covers you, I just submit
Oh.
everybody who was
Okay.
here
No test.
during that,
Okay.
right? And,
I wasn't clear, sorry.
or some have already taken it, they've already done the test and they've got a certificate, so they sent me the certificate. But they said we could do it either way, either certificate or just a roll call who's here in this.
Okay.
And then Lisa, I don't know if you can, sorry, if you can go back to the agenda to the more training. There's another video link, hyperlinked in there. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I think I closed it inadvertently.
So yeah, Brian, you're closed. You have to take it again. You have so many boards. I've already done it.
Oh.
That's why I was just. It is not.
It's 8 minutes. I was like, I can ask,
Exactly.
I can ask Steve if it is.
10 minutes.
It would take me just as long to write.
You're right. Exactly, exactly. Like, you just do it. And I think I sent my certificates around, but nobody was there. Maybe I didn't. I don't know.
Oh, that's all for me. I'm sorry.
That's the one we just did.
Yeah, that's what we just did. I'm sorry. So next item down
It's the last.
There you have it.
there. And then there should be that link in background. And I was talking to Sarah when she got the notice that she was selected to be on the planning commission. And I thought, there's this really good American Experience video that I always required all of my students to watch. It's 56 minutes long. It's called The World That Moses Built. And if you're familiar with Robert Moses, who was the engineer, planner, everything for New York City for a very long time. And you kind of understand, like, okay, why are we doing what we're doing in environmental? Why is this taking so long? If you watch that video, you'll understand why we do what we do and the way we do it. So if you ever get to see it, if you're feeling like you would like to, that World That Moses Built is an excellent kind of a video on that. And there's also additional training available with the league and with the Association of Counties and also the Utah Urban Land Institute, which is what this training comes from. And they've got a whole bunch of topics that are just a few minutes long. Some are 2 minutes, some of them are a little bit longer. This one's 8 minutes. Got Will Summerford, who's been planning for a very, very long time. And was one of the people who wrote the original Land Use and Development Management Act for the state back then in like 91 or something. But anyway, so I'm just going to have a little bit of training about what planning is.
City planning. You hear about it all the time. Are you going to planning commission meeting? What does the planning office say about that? Does the city plan allow for that? But what is it? I'm Brent Bateman, lead attorney in the Office of the Property Rights Ombudsman, and your Luau land use host.
And I'm Will Summercorn, the Regional Planning Director for Salt Lake County.
We're here to answer the big question. What is planning?
When our nation was young and beginning to grow, life was pretty simple and pretty stable. Cities and towns were relatively small and bucolic. Sure, there was growth and change, but it was pretty familiar and not all that fast.
History buffs remember this well. The Industrial Revolution. Towns and cities began to change in much faster and in much different ways. It wasn't just homes and farms anymore.
Big new business enterprises started showing up, and they needed people, often lots of people, to run them. People needed places to live that were close to the factory. Everything got built close together. These new industries burned lots of wood and coal. They would sit in the air, and waste got dumped in the water around them. Many cities became rather unpleasant places to live, even dangerous. Those who could afford it fled the cities and lived in the nicer, safer countrysides outside of these awful city environments. People started to rethink what they were doing, which led to the City Beautiful movement. Cities needed to become places that people could enjoy living in, more beautiful, pleasant, safe places. The movement grew, and many cities around the nation established their own City Beautiful commissions and boards, made up of concerned citizens.
A brand new breed of experts started showing up, the land use planner, just like you, Will. Some of these new boards and commissions would hire professional planners to advise local groups and even produce new city plans.
Let's talk about one city specifically. It was one of the worst urban environments at the time, New York City. It was a big city that was attracting industrial businesses. They had a constant supply of workers because immigrants were coming into New York by the boatloads. The new industries created a polluted environment. The new immigrants needed homes, and they were built property line to property line, sometimes with only a small enclosed court in the middle where people dumped their wastes. No windows, no light, no air, and waste dumped right next to their homes. In 1916, New York City enacted a new ordinance that established degrees of setback for buildings. It's a standard that states how far a structure has to be from a property. With setbacks, it was possible to have better light and fresh air flowing through these buildings. Different degrees of setback were created for different areas of the city or zones, and hence the first zoning ordinance was born. The concept soon expanded with regulations on the kinds of land uses that would be allowed in certain zones. These were often based on those of City Beautiful plans.
Other cities copied what New York City was doing and made their own modifications.
The zoning concept grew in popularity around the country as a way to improve the living environment of cities. In 1921, before becoming president, U.S. Secretary of Commerce Herbert Hoover appointed a committee to develop a model code for states to adopt that would establish a uniform legal framework of land use planning and regulation.
That was the Standard State Zoning Enabling Act, which later changed to the Planning Enabling Act.
And it was adopted by most state legislatures and served as the template for how land use regulation was done at the state and local government levels. The Utah State Legislature adopted the Standard Act in 1925, and Salt Lake City became the first city in Utah to enact a zoning ordinance a year later.
But even with the wide adoption of zoning at this time, the whole legal foundation was somewhat shaky until the year 1926.
Exactly. That's when the U.S. Supreme Court took up a case from the village of Euclid, Ohio, just outside of Cleveland. The landowner, the Ambler Realty Company, was challenging the local zoning code, which restricted the kinds of uses that were allowed in different zones on their land. The Supreme Court upheld the zoning concept as a legitimate exercise of the constitutional police power, intended to protect health, safety, and welfare of the village's residents. The concept of zoning and land use regulation and planning was now secure.
So, what does that mean for Utah today? We'll have to back up a few years. Well,
in 1992, the entire state code regarding land use regulation was renamed the Land Use Development and Management Act, the acronym LUDMA, that we often hear planners use these days. This act beefed up the concepts of a general plan and better defined the rules for public notice and public hearings. It also introduced the requirements for designation of a land use authority and an appeal authority. So let's take a look at how local planning and land use regulation is supposed to work under the structure that's been set up in the state code. Every city, town, and county in the state of Utah should have a planning commission. Why a planning commission? It's required if a jurisdiction wants to do any land use regulation. It all has its roots in two things. Remember those City Beautiful boards and the commissions we mentioned earlier? That's one.
and the other has to do with political reform.
That's right. By the late 1800s and early 1900s, there was a lot of citizen disgruntlement with the state of affairs in state and local government. In many cities, it was the people with money and businesses who controlled exactly who got elected and what they did while in office. The same situation existed in state legislatures, which were often controlled by big business interests such as the railroads and the mines. A whole political movement grew out of this situation, called by different names like reformers or progressives. They wanted to take control of elected officials back to the citizens.
In fact, because of this movement, actions of elected officials could be challenged and overturned by the citizens themselves.
Well, the same concept carried over in land use planning and regulation. The elected officials no longer had all the power. Before they could take any action on land use plans or ordinances, they would be required to get input from an independent group of citizens, the Planning Commission. The concept embodied in the State Enabling Act now existed all around the country.
Since planning commissions are so central in local land use planning, it's important to understand their role according to LUDMA. The planning commission has two main responsibilities. They have a legislative role, which allows the commission to recommend policy actions to the elected officials. And the commission also has an administrative role where they make decisions on applications received, of course, following the local ordinances and codes, as long as that role has been given to them by the legislative body. I'll tell you more about that in my video, What Hat Do You Wear?
So this is just a brief overview of how city planning begins. With this historical look at the role of planning commissions and the other videos you'll find on our LUAC site. This should help prepare you for your duties as a planner.
Or if you are a developer or just a concerned citizen, knowing the history of planning and how planning is supposed to work will enable you to fulfill your role in the planning process. We designed this entire website to help all of you plan Utah communities. When we understand the rationale for our laws and regulations, we know what it takes to build better communities. And of course, that makes life better for all of us.
So additionally to the videos they do, they also have a book that's called Famous Land Use Planning in Utah. I've actually ordered that. I got a notice yesterday that they have mailed that out. So we should be getting that here soon. We'll get a copy for everybody that I'll give you. And just, I know everybody knows this, but the United States of America, but we're not the United Cities and Counties of Utah. So for cities and counties only have the power that the state of Utah gives them. And part of that enabling is what they enable. I guess you are an enabler. So the state enables the county to do certain things in planning, and the section of the code that covers that. It used to be 1727A in state code, but they changed it in July, and I believe it's 1772 that has the Land Use and Development Management Act of the county. I can send that out to you, but that's what we refer to when it talks about a general plan, what needs to be in the general plan, and how you do that, and how you do subdivision group process, etc. That's all contained in state code, and that guide just, and then that's supplemented by anything that the county commission has put in place. So I guess that's just a little training blurb for today.
That's a great video.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, video.
All right, the county commission update.
No, you wanna go? Okay.
Okay, just go through, so we have the Lavina subdivision that passed. We also have the Bates subdivision as well, that's the commission. The Novak public hearing was open, but that, I've been told, has been pulled. So they pulled their application off of the Novak.
Yeah, Brenda sent me an email requesting that he was wrong.
It was pulled by Novak.
Yeah.
We also had the planning commission appointments, and that went through. I think we really how that went. And then we have a new chair, which is going to be Melody McCandless, and a new vice chair, which is going to be Commissioner Winfield. And then we also just, this is, it's for planning commission, but also passed the housing loan documents as well, which will be a policy for the county to spend the revolving loan fund. We have. Did I miss anything or anything?
No, I might just add it, if you guys, just a few details on some of those, is that okay? And so on the Lavina, that just for your guys' memory, that was the 14+ acres. That was highway commercial general business and large lot. And the goal was to rezone it all to highway commercial, and that parallels Plateau Drive, and that passed 4-3 with Hadler, Houdini, McGann in opposition. The Bates passed unanimously with just one recusal. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, and then the Bates, just again, it's just a reminder, was like the 3.5-ish, went from rural residential to small plot residential. And I just kind of, just to refresh you guys' memory of what those were. And if you guys have any questions. The the Novak, a ton of people showed up. And so I thought that was really good that a ton of people showed up. And then did seem to be some like confusion to me by the developer, but I'd be interested to hear your perspective as to what they actually, was it MFR or SLR? So there seemed to be some confusion, but again, that's been told.
Yeah, so I looked that up and the public hearing was for both the small lot residential and the multifamily residential. So that's what the public hearing was in
Okay,
July.
right,
July,
yeah. I think it was
whatever,
June,
right?
July, yeah, way back.
But the discussion at the meeting didn't include the multifamily, but that's what was on the public hearing. So I don't know where it went from public hearing
Yeah,
to not showing up at the discussion following week, but that's what the public hearing was. So
yeah,
we're just continuing the public hearing that would continue from November, from the July meeting, and then continue that again. So it's the same public hearing that was continued.
yeah, that was a long, really. So do you guys have any questions for us?
And then we also did give everybody the start on reminder of the general plan that was adopted in December of 2024.
Next item on the agenda is public hearings, of which there are none. The call to order on the agenda ought to actually be first.
Yeah, we're moving a few of those things around, yeah, getting permissions to access agenda items and things.
We have action items and future considerations next. Action items, we don't have anything under that. Future considerations,
May I add something to future consideration? Is that possible?
that's the next item on the
Oh,
agenda. And we have one thing on there already, which is the bylaws, right? So that's gonna be. And bylaws, that'll be in the next meeting. And I'd like to speak for a minute on land use code, but go ahead, Tricia.
No, you go, or whatever.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll go. I just would like to put the ag ordinance back in our purview. And I know that Tony, when we discussed it last, it was kind of like, well, let's do a workshop. And whatever you guys want to do, my recommendation was if we wanted to workshop it, maybe we pull a couple planning commissioners, the conservation district. And then I actually have a couple, people in the ag world that I think would be really good detailer, Gary Wilson and Buzz Bates. As kind of, I think as kind of the main ag producers that might be a good supplement to that workshop. But I'm just throwing that out. I'm not at all telling you guys what to do, however you want to do it. But I don't want to let it die. I'd really like to keep it going.
We should probably do a summary of the ag issue for our new members.
Yeah.
So can we put that on the agenda as
Yeah,
well?
we also have
Water
use and preservation.
Water element.
element, and I made a presentation with Lisa on Thursday night. And so I've got some of their comments and things that I'll compress down and moving forward. I'm still trying to get a hold of Moab and Thompson, and so a few of them.
You got Arches SSD.
Sorry, that's Arches and Thompson. So if you can help me. Get
Yeah.
any of those things, that'd be great.
On that Arches SSD, I'm on that.
So Andrew, can we put both of those on future considerations, but give you time to prepare for them? I know our next meeting is next week. And if you don't have time to prepare, let's just cover them on the next meeting.
And I know you're gonna talk about the new land use code, and I got a dash to that, which is that I've got a draft request for proposals. And so I'm gonna be presenting it to Mark and Camille this week.
Okay.
On requesting professional services to them prior to the new land use code.
Perfect. So on the subject of the new land use code, if we can go there next. That we've talked about that for the entire time that I've been on the planning commission, which predates even you there. And I think everybody in here has agreed that it's a very important item. And it's but it hasn't been, I would say the momentum isn't there. And there are a lot of reasons for that, and I respect those reasons. They are what they are, and that's in the past. What I'd like to discuss in our next meeting is what steps would we take to complete that item within a reasonable time frame? What would the key steps be? And we identify those and identify the dates for those so that we can start to actually hold ourselves accountable to complete this crazy.
Yeah, and that's included in the RFP, so I'll just run it past Mark and Quinn on Monday. And then I can have that discussion
We actually.
It is Monday, so
Yes.
tomorrow I'll meet with Mark and Quinn, and then I will have on the following Monday that draft RFP that has kind of the schedule and the steps to follow, et cetera, that are associated.
Let's move that to the agenda for next week.
Yeah. As an action item?
Yeah.
Back on that. That's something that we
Well, you can make a recommendation.
It's actually been added.
Can I piggyback off of you, or are you still?
I think let's just wrap up land use code if nobody else has anything.
The only thing I wanted to add to land use code specifically, I watched the San Juan County Planning and Zoning last week. And it was specific to their land use code update because they're going through a land use code update also. It was honestly one of the most effective meetings I have watched of theirs. I was super impressed with it, but they talked about Spanish Valley a lot. And I think it's worth, I would be happy to email the link to you.
Yeah.
So you can share it with everyone.
Yeah.
But it was so useful to watch that because they're developing Spanish Valley too. And I think it's important that we kind of, as they're not saying we need to follow suit by any means, but we should be paying attention to what both counties are doing in the same area that could affect neighbors on one side of the street versus the other. It was not a long meeting by any means, but they were redefining terms and they're at square one. Well, they're trying to move past theirs, but the things that they were going over were all things that I know we're going to have to go over too. I just thought it was really interesting considering we're talking the same area. And it was really insightful too. And it absolutely motivated me to want to get ours going also.
The general plan before the one that's just been written actually had a section in there about San Juan County. And one of the sections was that they were, because they wanted our water and our sewer, they were requesting to follow some of our land use code regulations because they were taking our water and our sewer.
And
they were buying our water. And
I think that's something.
And that's something we talked about for years.
Yeah,
that's good.
I think that's something we should be paying attention to. And if it comes to a point where, we're having to talk about infrastructure and things like that, you should have to be playing an equal role in this. If it's all for the people out in the valley,
and the
why
roads,
should we not be working with
the
our
roads should
neighbors?
also match.
Absolutely.
I agree.
So it was a very interesting meeting, and it was to the point. It didn't get sidetracked by any means, but the Spanish Valley parts were very applicable to what we're facing as a planning commission also.
And we are neighbors.
Yeah, and we can always have joint meetings with them as well.
Yes.
It's a good idea.
So yeah, if you could send that link out after.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
All right.
We could have joint meetings with them. Maybe that should be future consideration, right?
Yeah, and I think in some places where they have like every 6 months, they have one joint meeting together or something like that, but wouldn't have to set a frequency, but it was.
And the city should be involved too.
Yeah.
Since they're water.
Well, I know talking to Mac, I think they tried to do quite a bit of updates and it didn't go well.
It went.
That's what I heard.
horribly.
And so I think and that's what Mac said, we're backtracking, we're kind of starting from square one and so.
Well, and it was nice because they took pieces just like what we've done, but it was, they were literally going through and they were saying, we have one term that is defined this way, but then we have it here and it's defined a different way. I mean, it was just simple things that were housekeeping items, but it clarified so much in the overall project. And I feel like we have a lot of that with all of the pieces and parts that we've updated, where maybe we don't follow them or they follow us, but if we're working cohesively, it would help everyone in the valley when it comes time to be doing these things.
Good suggestion.
I was paying attention. Just trying to do my homework.
All right, any other future considerations? Okay, so then I guess at this point, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So seconded.
Seconded by Aaron, all in favor? Meeting's adjourned.
Thank you very much, appreciate it. Thank you, Randy.
No. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I got the next line, so. Next 2 weeks. I will join them. Yeah. We will.